Perek HaMekabel Soda מחבירו, Daf Kaviyut, sponsored the Refuah Shlema for Binyamin Chaim Ben Sarah. The Gemara discusses a law concerning a mashkanta desura, a document stating land used as a security for a loan but did not specify for how many years. The lender claimed 3 years and consumed its produce the third year. The borrower claimed the security was for 2 years. The Gemara brings a machloikas as to who is believed. Rabbi Yehuda holds karka b'cheskas be'oleh ha'kaima. The borrower is the presumptive owner. Therefore, the burden of proof is on the lender even after he consumed the third year produce. Rav Kahana holds once the lender consumed the produce, the burden of proof is on the borrower. The Gemara states the halacha is like Rav Kahana. The rule of Rav Nachman, karka b'cheskas be'oleh ha'kaima, applies to a suffix bedin, where there is a doubt concerning the law. For example, one leased the bathhouse for a year for a fee of 12 dinars a year, 1 dinar a month. If it is a leap year, the first part of the contract, 12 dinars a year, would favor the renter. He remained an extra month at no additional charge. Whereas the second part, 1 dinar a month, obligates him to pay for remaining an additional month. Rav Nachman obligates him to pay because karka b'cheskas be'oleh ha'kaima. Our case is a suffix b'metzius, a doubt that could be clarified at a later point in time. If the court forced the lender to pay because the land belonged to the borrower, he subsequently may produce witnesses that testify the security was actually for 3 years. The court would be forced to collect the money a second time. In such a case, Rav Nachman's rule does not apply. The next case is where the lender claims he lost the document that stated he was entitled to 5 years. The borrower said he was entitled to 3. The Gemara again brings a machlokas as to who is believed. Rabbi Yehuda holds the lender is believed with amigo. He could have made a more advantageous claim that he bought the land since he consumed its produce uncontested for 3 years. Rav Zavid and Rabbi disagree. He is not believed because his claim that he lost the document is absolutely false. Since the document is needed for collecting the produce only for a limited time, it is assumed he did not lose it but is concealing it in order to collect 2 more years. Both stakers of the 2 previous cases resulted from a mashkanta desura that does not mention the amount of years the land is a security for the loan. The Gemara wonders how the Chachamim could enact a type of mashkanta that would encourage fraud. The Gemara answers that part of their enactment was to use it only where the borrower dug the border ditches and paid the land tax. The lender, as a result, could not claim the land is his. However, there is no land tax and the borrower did not dig ditches, he is required to protest the occupation of the lender. If he doesn't, it is his loss. The Gemara now discusses the dispute between the landowner and the sharecropper as to what percent of the profit he is entitled. The owner said 1/3, the sharecropper said 1/2. Rabbi Yehuda holds the owner is believed. Rav Nachman holds whatever claim coincides with the custom of the place is believed. One interpretation of the Gemara is there is no dispute. Rabbi Yehuda said the owner is believed where the custom was to pay 1/3. The second interpretation is Rabbi Yehuda believes the owner, even when his claim is not according to the custom of the place, is believed because of amigo. He had a more advantageous claim that the sharecropper was a worker who earns a salary, not a percent of the yield. The Gemara next discusses a case where a debtor dies and his creditor wants to collect from the orphans. The land improved since the loan. It is unclear who improved it, the debtor or the orphans. Rav Chanina holds since it is now in the possession of the orphans, the burden of proof is on the creditor. Rav Yochanan holds the burden of proof is on the orphans. The creditor is entitled to take the land as payment for the debt. He is only required to reimburse the orphans for their improvements. Abaye proved this from a Mishnah, a case where a tree was planted too close to a town. In any case, the tree must be cut down. If the owner planted it before the town was built, the owner is entitled to compensation. If not, he is not entitled to compensation. In a case where it is unknown, the law is that the burden of proof is on the owner because he must cut down the tree. The only question is whether he's entitled to compensation. Similarly, in our case, the creditor is definitely entitled to the land. The only question is whether the orphans are entitled to compensation. The Gemara states that even if the orphans eventually prove that they improved the land, they would only be entitled to monetary compensation, not land. This law applies as well to an estate that improved after the father's demise, before the heirs divided. The firstborn compensates the brothers with money, not land. The wife collecting her ksuba or a debtor collecting a debt of the father from orphans, they are compensated for the improvements with money, not land. The last case is a creditor who has a lien on sold properties that the purchasers improved. The Gemara explains that the purchaser is entitled to improvements, where the debt does not include the improvement made by the purchaser. According to the opinion that the purchaser cannot offer money to the creditor in the place of land, it is logical that the creditor compensates monetarily. But according to the opinion that the purchaser can pay the debt with money instead of the land, he should be able to claim land as compensation. The Gemara answers the creditor demanded the land from the borrower as an apoteki, the right to collect the debt specifically from this land. If you're enjoying Daf and 5, please